Hi, I'm Joni with Looking at Careers with Joni, and I'm here today with Trevor from a company called Husker. So, Trevor,
Hey,
that's
Joni.
a that's an unusual name for a company.
Mm-hmm.
What does Husker mean?
Husker. So Husker is actually a family name, and it all started with a German family 160 years ago.
Oh,
And so if you ever see our company logo, I kind of jokingly say this, but I think it's somewhat true, is
mm-hmm.
that our name always shows up in all caps.
Okay.
It's always all caps. And the reason I say that is, yeah, I point that out to people is that because it's a German name, you got to say it from like your diaphragm, like Huska, just to emphasize it with that German accent. But yeah, it's I mean the company started 160 years ago. We're still family owned and
Okay.
proud to represent the Husker family name.
Awesome. And while I'm thinking of it, since you just brought it up, what is your website?
It is Husker Husker.us.
Okay, great. So Trevor, I know that right now you're working in different types of real estate investing,
Mm-hmm.
but originally you were you still are. You're still working as an engineer, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's go way back. Not that it's way back, but let's go back.
Let's go back,
And
Jody.
so you were in school and decided I want to be an engineer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then what happened?
Yeah. So, I think like a lot of engineers, they start off back in their younger days and they realize, hey, I'm pretty good at math and science.
Hmm.
And then I realized, you come across at some point, it dawns on you, hey, engineering might make sense because I'm good at math and science. And then you figure out, hey, engineers, they kind of are involved with building big things. I know it's elementary, but this is, I think,
Oh,
a lot of the
makes
time
sense.
this is how the process goes,
Yeah.
the thought process goes, and that's how it was for me. And so that's why I went to university, the University of Texas at Austin. Hook 'em. I got a little memorabilia right there.
Oh, there it
Um,
is.
yep. So I went to UT Austin to study specifically civil engineering, and I did my undergrad and I did my graduate school there. Just 6 years, knocked it out.
Great. And so when you graduated, what did you do?
Yeah, so actually, I took a little bit of a detour from engineering, and I actually went into full time Christian ministry for
Oh,
5 years. Yeah, for
okay.
5 years before diving back into the engineering field and pursuing that as a profession.
Okay. Tell me what you did a little bit about Christian ministry. What were you doing?
Yeah, so my responsibilities there were with an organization at the University of Texas at Austin. I was a part of that organization as a student,
Uh
and it
huh.
was wonderful to be able to kind of be on the other side of things. And I was just so much help from the mentorship, the shepherding, the guidance that I received from the folks that were on staff. And so for me to now join the staff and to be able to pour into young men like I was poured into was just extremely rewarding. And so it was a lot of really just one-on-one tailor-made counseling, mentorship, just to help them in all aspects of the student's life.
What a wonderful thing. And why did you decide to stop doing that?
Yeah, so it's definitely still in my heart, Joni, but
Okay.
it basically just kind of one thing led to the next with kind of where my wife and I were in life.
Okay.
And we wanted to start having some kids, and she wasn't so fond of her job at the moment. And so
Oh,
we just considered, and I mean, we take our faith extremely seriously. And so just we prayed about it, talked to our close community, and just one thing led to the other. And we just felt really good about me making a change and going into engineering where
mhm.
she could kind of just focus on becoming a mom, so to speak.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can tell that some kind of ministry is still within you. I don't think that'll ever leave you. But
Yeah, I
so
agree.
you,
I hope not, Joni. I
oh,
hope
I'm
to keep
sure
it
it won't.
still stirred in there and fired up.
Yep. So you got a job in engineering,
hmm
and what did you do?
Yes. So the field that I was in is geotechnical engineering specifically.
Okay.
Geote- Geotechnical
We all know
engineering.
what that is.
Exactly, right? Exactly. It's harder to say than actually to do, I think. It's actually pretty simple, but
For
it
an
is a
engineer.
fair enough. Fair enough. So you have the huge umbrella of civil engineering. People have heard of
Right.
civil engineering.
Right.
Geotechnical engineering is really a discipline within that umbrella of civil engineering.
Okay.
And so with geotechnical engineering, we are engineering with the materials of soil and rock.
Hmm.
And you got
Oh,
to throw some water in there because
okay.
there's always water with soil and rock.
Right.
Um, so anything related to sitting on the ground, you need a
Mm-hmm.
geotechnical engineer to come in, assess the ground stability. Maybe you do foundation designs, you do roadway designs, you do dams, walls, levees, anything dealing with soils, and
Uh-huh.
to make sure that they're stabilized and that they can hold up whatever structure they're involved in. You need geotechnical engineers.
So if I'm building a house on a new plot of land, do I need somebody like you to come out and see it?
Yes, you do. Yep. You need somebody
Oh,
like us to take a soil sample. We analyze the soil for its engineering properties, and based off those properties, we do a foundation design and some other things. But yeah, that's
oh,
one aspect
interesting.
of how a geotechnical engineer practices.
So in your field, did you specialize in geotechnical engineering? Is there a certain thing that you do, or do you just kind of do all the things you just mentioned?
So I went to school. My graduate degree was specifically focused in geotechnical engineering
Uh huh.
because that's how it works. Whenever you go to graduate school in civil engineering,
Uh
you
huh.
focus on one of the disciplines beneath the umbrella of civil engineering.
Okay.
And yeah, what were you going to say, Joni?
Well, I think my question is, so do you specialize with bridges or homes or businesses? What kinds of and geotechnical engineering do you do, or do you do it all? Do you focus on
Yeah,
everything?
yeah. So there's definitely focuses within geotechnical engineering. For me specifically,
Mm-hmm.
we did a lot of private commercial buildings,
Okay.
and that was either involving shallow or deep foundation design. And we would also design pavement sections just to
Okay.
make sure they don't, they last for the duration that they're supposed to. They don't crack prematurely, and they can
Right.
hold up to the traffic loads. Yeah,
Okay.
we did some other stuff here and there, but that was our bread and butter.
Okay. And that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, and are you still doing that?
I am not. I actually made a change from geotechnical engineering consulting about 2 years ago.
Okay. To what?
So the shift that I made, which I'm still involved with engineers, which is great,
Mm-hmm.
but I took more of a sales and business development role
Okay.
with a vendor of products that engineers use.
Mm-hmm.
And hence, that's how I ended up at Husker.
I see. Okay, so now you're going out to all these engineers and you're trying to sell them the tools they need to do their jobs.
That's one of the hats that I wear. Exactly.
Okay. And what else?
So I do a little bit of R&D, and so
Mm-hmm.
part of the service area that I work in, in our product line, it's relatively new technology, and
Okay.
so a part of it involves, just like, hey, how can we tailor this technology to really meet a need within the market? And
Hmm.
so we'll have tests that are done. We'll I'll get with our manufacturing crew, and we'll run little product trials, little variations of products, and just to see how it performs. That's part of the hat that I wear.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, when it comes to, I write technical papers.
Mm-hmm.
So I was
Okay.
I actually have a technical paper due today.
Uh-huh.
And then just kind of overall, generally speaking, because I work remote, welcome everybody to my house. This is my basement office. I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado, and because I'm the sole Husker employee in this area, I kind of generally represent Husker in everything that we do locally.
Okay. Okay, that's great. So when I think of engineers, I don't think of them as sales guys, but you kind of have that right personality. Did you like the transition? Do you like going into sales?
Yeah, that's a great question, Joni. And the short answer is yes. The When I consider my work situation with geotechnical engineering consulting compared to what I'm doing now, it's pretty much night and day. And
Uh-huh.
and the past was the night, and now I'm in the day.
Oh, I get it. That's
that's
great.
how that's how I describe it. Not that it wasn't a great experience, not that the people or the firm wasn't great. It's just that kind of work compared
Hmm.
to the work that I'm doing right now. It's just two different worlds, even though we're still kind of in the same industry, so to speak.
Yeah,
But it's been amazing, and I'm happy to elaborate a little bit more on that if you want me to.
feel free.
Yeah, I think with engineers, you're exactly right. Typically, maybe they're a little bit more introverted. Talking to people is definitely outside of their comfort zone. Give them a desk, a computer, a calculator, an Excel spreadsheet, and they can just crank away.
Right.
I like doing that, but I don't
Uh-huh.
like doing it all the time. I
Right.
think I think where the real pressure comes in
Hmm.
is, and maybe it kind of it started to rub me the wrong way, is that with any kind of consulting job, you're having to bill your hours, right? I mean, that's what
Right.
consulting is, you know.
Right.
So so I was having to track my time in 15-minute increments and record, at the end of the day, where my time was allocated to. And that was reviewed by my supervisors, et cetera, et cetera. And I had some targets as far as like productivity and hours worked and things like that.
Hmm.
And I won't be the first person to say this. Actually, a couple of my colleagues, they came from engineering consulting, and we all say the same thing. It's like that, just filling out the timesheet and having that hanging over your head
Yep.
um, can be tough.
Right.
Especially for people that it just doesn't quite suit us. So
Yeah.
um, so that's one thing, right? And
Hmm.
then the other thing, in a more positive sense, is with what I'm doing now. It's just absolutely amazing because I mean I'm working from home. I get to see my kids throughout the day, which is totally cool. Contrast that with going into an office every day early and staying late, working
Right.
long hours. I'm at home right now with a flexible schedule. I'm fairly autonomous,
Hmm.
and I get to do some travel, which is cool. I mean, I'm going to Houston in a week and a half.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to Germany in 2 weeks. I'm going
Great.
to I'm going to Oregon in a month.
Uh-huh.
So having these kind of experiences, I would have never had this opportunity to travel like I do now at
Hmm.
my previous job.
That's really wonderful. And I can see how a flexible schedule allows you to maybe look at other opportunities that are out there. And so you've gone into real estate investing. And I have to say, I think real estate's a nice transition from an engineer because you have a head for it. But so how did you decide to start doing things in real estate?
Yeah, so that decision came about probably 2 years ago.
Hmm.
It's funny. It kind of aligned with when I got this new job, right? Um,
Right.
Everybody needs a hobby. Everybody needs an outlet. Everybody needs something else to dedicate themselves to, in my opinion, besides their job.
Yep.
And real estate is that for me. I find it extremely exciting. When I came across this concept of real estate investing about 2 years ago, because on the one hand, it has a really low barrier to entry for anybody to be a part of it.
Right.
And it's amazing because even though it has a low barrier to entry, the rewards can be extremely high if
Hmm.
you just there's the commitment to be successful within this space. Yeah, the rewards are just off the charts.
Right. Okay. So how did you learn about what you're doing and um, know which direction to go into?
Yeah, with real estate, I started off probably like a lot of people on YouTube University. You
Yes.
know,
I've heard a
um,
lot about that for real estate.
YouTube. I think it's YouTube University. It's the most popular university on the planet right now,
Yep.
and yeah, I think it's an avenue for people to get into real estate. But yeah, I came across a video, and it was either Grant Cardone or
Hmm.
Chris Crone. Those are the two
Hmm.
gentlemen, and I just they did something to draw my attention, and what captured me was when they started speaking about the wealth generation that can be created by getting involved in real estate. And in addition to that, the freedom that being involved in real estate successfully can provide you and your family.
Right. Okay. So you saw these videos and you learned a little bit. And what was your next step? How'd you actually get into it?
Yeah, so I ordered a book because I realized I needed to do a little bit more focused study. So I ordered a book, and then I found a mentor locally. This was back when I was living in Austin. Found a local mentor there because Joni, I'm not the type of person just to dive in deep into something alone.
Yeah,
I,
smart.
yeah, I mean, I always feel like I need some sort of support system so I don't crash and burn. And thankfully,
Yeah.
I linked up with a mentor, which, regardless of any industry, I think it's important to have a mentor.
But how
And
did you find them? I mean, I'm sitting here, I want to go into real estate, I need a mentor. I wouldn't know. The only thing I know about is realtors. Other than that, I wouldn't know where to turn. How did you know where to go?
yeah, so it was it was kind of a one thing led to another. I believe I was making phone calls to lenders
Okay.
and just trying to understand a little bit more about um, using their services to purchase a real estate investment property.
Mm-hmm.
And, in the conversation, I think one guy referred me to, hey, I recommend you reach out to this guy named Dave. He's open to helping younger investors get started. He's a really good guy. He's been very successful.
Mm-hmm.
So he's an investor, but he was also a realtor as well. So he had both of those experiences. And I reached out to Dave, and he was open to mentor me and help me understand what makes sense um, as an investor when purchasing real estate investment properties. He
Mm-hmm.
helped me guide me through the purchase process. He represented me in the purchase process. He was really there from start to end. He's actually managing my rentals back in Austin. Um,
Nice.
but he's just a really good dude. But that's how it happened, Joni. Really, one thing led to another, and got
Uh-huh.
connected with Dave.
That's great. So the first thing you did was bought some rental property. Is that what I'm
Mm-hmm.
hearing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And Dave helped you figure out how to go about and do that. You must have saved some money to do that.
Yes, I did.
And were there already renters in there? Did you buy just property that was already being rented? Or did you get something and start from scratch and start advertising for people to rent?
Yeah, it was from scratch. Actually, the seller it was their previous primary residence,
Uh
and
huh.
they were looking to move. And part of the deal evaluation is you have to run the numbers, right, to see if
Sure.
this purchase price with these rent rates and the different factors, does it make sense. And so yeah, I bought the property from someone who was previously their primary residence. Dave helped me find a tenant to get in the property, and it's
Hmm.
been a great experience, cash flowing property ever since I did that.
Wonderful.
Oh
So
yeah.
then, so you've gone far beyond that. What else have you been doing in real estate?
Yeah. So since I've moved to Colorado, I've been very active with a partnership of investors all across the Front Range. And we have essentially a collaborative partnership to do direct to seller outreach to
Hmm.
find people that are looking to sell their homes, either at a discount, of course, or they have a particular situation where they need more closer to retail, and we're able, through our creative finance strategies,
Hmm.
um, to create a win-win both for them and also for us.
Okay, that's great.
Yep.
So you're lending other people money. You're becoming the bank for other buyers.
I wouldn't call it that. I mean, we're definitely trying to purchase their properties. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we would actually, what we would prefer is that if the sellers become the bank for us, because
Okay.
because ideally, we would rather avoid the banks, Joni.
Sure. Yeah, I
There's just
know that that's
many
where
more
the real
hoops.
money comes in, isn't it?
Yeah. There's many more hoops you have to jump through as an investor if you're dealing with banks versus if you
Hmm.
can work out something directly with the seller.
Okay. So,
Yep.
so you've been doing this for 2 years. Okay, so now you're purchasing property, and are you renting it or flipping it?
Doing both. Actually, I have
Okay.
a flip opportunity in San Antonio right now that we're
Hmm.
under contract. That actually that was kind of a random opportunity that just presented itself, and thankfully the timing was right. But here in Colorado, my partners and I, we're doing fix and flips, we're doing wholesale, we're doing buy and holds. It really, it's on a case by case basis, as far as what makes sense on how we can best serve the seller, and in
Hmm.
light of best serving them, what kind of exit strategy makes sense for us.
That's great.
Yeah, but
Um,
I will say I'm
mhm.
shifting gears a little bit. I shouldn't say I'm shifting gears. It's more of I'm adding a new trajectory into my real estate investing pursuit,
Okay.
and that's going into multifamily, which I'm super stoked about.
Okay. And that's what I think of when I think of renters. So tell me what you're doing. You're looking at apartment complexes, I guess, where that already have renters.
Yep, exactly. And this is a new endeavor for me, Joni, as of basically last week. But
Oh, nice.
yep, yep. But it's been in my heart for a while. It's been rumbling around. Now
Okay.
I've just made the decision to enter into this pursuit. But
Okay.
yeah, basically, in a nutshell, it's reaching out to brokers that
Mhm.
are looking to sell properties, and
Mhm.
I'm looking specifically for properties with over 40 units. And there's actually a
Wow.
reason for that. Yeah, over 40 units, and just analyzing the deal for, on the one hand, for its opportunity that it presents itself as a great investment with how the property is at
Mhm.
present.
Mhm.
But of course, part of being an investor is considering how can that property be improved
Mhm.
to add value to the property, increase your cash flow, and increase the value of the property over the long run.
Yeah. Okay. So that means, I guess, you're buying property that already has rentals, and then you're going in and upgrading their units even while they're living there.
Yeah, so um, that's exactly right. That's You hit the nail on the head, Joni.
Right.
Of course, you can't upgrade a unit when somebody's in it. So you
Mm-hmm.
take the transition time between, whenever that property becomes vacant, and then you just use that month or so or whatever to just do the upgrades, and then
Mm-hmm.
you increase the rent for that unit,
I got
and
it.
and you just kind of go down the line. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yep,
So you've
definitely.
been doing this 2 years. How many properties have you invested in so far?
So I own 3 properties.
Okay.
I have my fix and flip going on right now.
Uh-huh.
I've done I guess you'd call it like it was a really crazy deal. It's so outside the box, it's hard to do a term on it. But basically, I acquired a property and sold it really quickly, in Dallas,
Okay.
last year. And then, yeah, I got a lot of irons in the fire right now. I'm actually going to start diving in this afternoon on the multifamily side and figuring out which markets I want to target, and start doing some deal analysis and reaching out to brokers in those markets, establish those relationships, and see what we can come up with there.
Wow. I mean, that's great in 2 years to have accomplished that much.
Thank
You
you.
know, I've talked to a few people that are real estate investors right now, but I haven't asked anybody this, and I don't know if you even know the answer, but everybody I've talked to has been relatively successful so far. And haven't they really haven't been in it all that long. Do you think that most people that go into this kind of real estate investing are successful? Have you heard of a lot of people just getting started and then saying, I just can't do this? It's too hard.
I would say probably that's definitely more of the case than people
Okay.
being successful. Yeah, because there's a, in my opinion, from how I see it, there's several different factors that you really have to have in place to be successful in real
Okay.
estate.
Okay.
And like I mentioned earlier, the barrier to entry is low. So a lot of
Right.
people can give it a shot,
Yeah.
but I think it's critical that there's these factors that have to be put in place to be successful. And,
Okay.
and two come to mind immediately. Two
Uh-huh.
come to mind immediately. Actually, three. Three come to mind immediately. Number one, you have to be properly educated with the right knowledge.
Okay.
That's huge. That's
So
huge.
more than YouTube University.
I would say more than YouTube University. Yep. Even though
Right.
you can get a lot out of that,
Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the second thing, and the second and third one are probably, they go hand in hand.
Okay.
But the second one, I would highly encourage everybody to get a mentor.
Right.
The mentor can enlighten the path forward, can
Mm-hmm.
point out the obstacles and how to overcome them, and
Mm-hmm.
can show the mentee shortcuts to get to their
Okay.
destination, save them time.
Okay.
But I think, I like to say this a lot, and I've heard other people say this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate is a team sport,
Right.
which comes to my third point, which is it's extremely critical to have a community to support you along the way.
Okay.
Those three things, education, a mentor, and a community, in my opinion, are extremely vital to be successful in real estate. And you got to have the intangibles of, like, you got to be persistent. You got to have fortitude. You got to, like, have mental toughness. Like, you got to get out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kind of the intangibles that the individual needs to have.
Okay. I think those are great things to tell people, things to think about. Does your mentor, I mean, I know that you're in Colorado, your mentor's in Texas, but when you first start out with a mentor, should you be in the same state?
You definitely do not have to be.
Okay.
Yeah, my mentors, two out of the three are not in the state that I'm in.
Okay. Okay. So you have more than one mentor.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
100%.
Great.
100%. And with
Great.
technology these days, it doesn't really matter, where
Okay.
everybody is.
So it's not the laws of the state that really make a difference.
So I would say when it comes to the community that you're a
Mm-hmm.
part of, it's good to get plugged in with people that are more experienced and that can
Mm-hmm.
support you along the way in the market that you're focusing in.
Got it.
Like, I use
Okay.
Colorado for as an example. I have a great support system in Colorado.
Okay.
Absolutely phenomenal.
How'd you get into that group? How'd you find the group?
Yeah, so the group is called, it's the Sub 2 Mentorship
Mm-hmm.
with Pace Morby.
Okay.
And it was actually, I came across Pace specifically from,
Mm-hmm.
I was working a lead with another guy back in Texas who was a part of a real estate network that I joined previously. He just sent me a YouTube video of Pace talking about the due on sale clause. I was like, hey, Pace is a pretty cool guy. I'm going to start following him, checking out his content. One thing led to another, and I joined his mentorship, which came with an amazing community. And there was a good group of that community here in Colorado that I got plugged into.
Okay. That's great. I think you've given people great advice on how to get started and how to juggle two different careers, very different from one another, and still be successful in both. I think that's great.
Thank you, Joni.
So you're living the American dream.
Come on, trying, working hard every day.
Yeah, that's great. With a family, I mean, so you have more than work, you have family stuff and everything. So
Yep,
that really
that's
is
right.
wonderful.
I have
All
a
right.
beautiful wife and two amazing kids.
That's great. And any other advice you have for people wanting to break into either engineering or real estate?
Yeah, I think probably the one message that I would like to leave with everybody is just emphasizing how important your network is. How
Okay.
important your network is. My network allowed me to go from geotechnical engineering consulting
Mm-hmm.
to now business development and sales with Husker.
Mm-hmm.
It was one guy in my network that helped
Right.
me bridge that gap and make that
Mm-hmm.
transition. And then as far as where I'm at today with the real estate side of things, without my network, I would just be probably in the dumps and have called it quit now, Joni.
Yeah.
So I guess speaking to engineers specifically, I would just highly encourage them get out of your comfort zone and get out and network as best as possible, because you never know how it would pay out, down the road.
Yeah. And I'd say in any career, that's the best advice I could give people too. Networking is the key to getting ahead no matter what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
I agree,
great.
100%.
Great. Well, Trevor, I really appreciate you talking to me today. You'll have to stay in touch and keep us posted on how you're doing.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
for everybody watching today, again, I'm Joni with Looking at Careers with Joni. I hope you like this video. Please click the like or the thumbs up below and join us for the next video. So thanks a lot, and thanks a lot, Trevor. We'll talk again soon.
Yep. Thank you, Joni. Thanks,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye-bye.